It's Tuesday night, it's 9 o'clock, and despite it being a week late, we're back for the latest round of the RTA Championship. This time, the TH Jordan RTA GT4 Cup. And we're starting right back where we started the last season, back at Brands Hatch, this time at the GP edition. My name is Kevin Galvin, I'm joined by Evan Dalton, and as always, in the back is Ronan Herdeman running the cameras and making sure things run spick and spang and perfect. And with Gantry TV, it's our second season looking after the guys at RTA Virtual Motorsport. We had an absolutely cracking time in the Formula 4 Ford 1600 cars last time around. Of course, Damien McMullen winning the B Championship, Rhoda Doherty winning the A Championship, and all around having a great time. So we're back for more, Evan. What like, you couldn't say no to it, could you?
No, you couldn't. It was a fabulous first season as Gantry TV here on the RTA Championship, and everyone had a fantastic time. There were some great races. It was this great car and track combo, and so we're going to do it all again for this season. We're going to have another season here. It is the GT4 Aston Martin that we are in, and I'm looking forward to it. I think all the drivers are looking forward to it as well. We've had to wait a week due to iRacing servers having a bit of an issue with us starting last week. We've had to wait a week, but we're back at Brands Hatch, and yeah, it's a pleasure to be alongside you again, Kevin.
Yeah, I think it's the first time an iRacing league has ever been cancelled due to rain. But despite that, and normally it's the rain at home you'd expect, actually, like some sort of yellow weather warning that would kill the internet. But actually, it's rain in iRacing. We'll come back to that in a second, because I think personally it was well worth the wait when we come back to it. However, we have the small matter of the latest championship. A lot of names that you'll be familiar with. Some newer names to the series, some of them already up the top of the timing standings. You see Peter Dempsey, and in P4, one Alex Denning, who himself is embarking on his own GT4 journey in real life later on this year. So once again, Nevin, we're talking about guys who are massively quick in the sim, but also guys who are using this as an opportunity to train for the real life races.
Yeah, Alex Denning, of course, if you don't know who he is, currently racing, or getting ready to race in the GT4 Winter Series. That's a European GT4 series, of course. Was Irish Young Driver of the Year once upon a time in 2022. He's a man who you'd expect to be quick. He has real-life racing experience, but what we saw last season was real-life racing experience doesn't necessarily mean you can just blast everyone out of the park in a sim. We've got a lot of quick drivers here who are going to put it up to him, and I look forward to seeing that across the course of the season.
Yeah, and on that point, the man who I suppose you probably were referencing there is the British Formula Ford 1600 champion Jordan Kelly, who, despite the fact that he's really, really rapid in in real life, got off to a ropey start in the championship last year, and really those first 2 or 3 rounds kind of defined the rest of his season. It just goes to kind of show you the importance of these rounds, even early on in the season, as we work right through the 8-week championship. It can count against you.
Yeah, it's a long championship, 8 weeks. We've got, I think, a bigger difference of tracks than last season. We had a lot of British tracks last season. We've got a great combination, which we'll be talking about later, of course. And another thing I'd like to talk about before the races get started is consistency. Ronan Doherty won last year's championship based on consistency, not necessarily being the quickest in every race. So that's something that these guys have to look for this evening in both the A and the B championship. You got to be consistent. You got to get the steady results each week, and then you might be crowned a champion come the end of the 8 weeks.
Okay, so let's look at what we have coming up over the next 8 weeks. We'll start with the calendar, because as Evan alluded to, there are some real classic tracks right across the series. We start here at Brands Hatch, the GP circuit. Then round 2, we head to Germany for Hockenheim, which is a track really dependent on some really high aero corners, and that's going to be a fantastic one in the GT4 calendars. Then we hope for absolutely no nonsense going into turn 1 of all 3 races as we head to the world famous Monza track, and from Milan we head to Spa-Francorchamps for the 4th round there at the Belgian kind of iconic circuit. Then we go over stateside, so it's a kind of a half European, half American. We take the long trip stateside over to the state of Florida, where we'll be heading to Sebring, which of course will be the destination for the next iRacing special event in a couple of weeks' time, which will be the first first official special event featuring the new Tempest weather system. The first event featuring the Tempest weather system took place last weekend. We'll talk about that in a bit as well. Then from Florida, we head north to Virginia to the VIR Raceway, and a track often kind of not very often seen in official races. Kind of gets the cold shoulder a little bit from iRacing, but an absolutely superb private venue. Then to Road Atlanta for round 7 before rounding off the world famous corkscrew over in Laguna Seca in the state of California. So that's the calendar for the season. As we say, half European, half American. I'll only be here for the European side before I jet off myself. We'll talk about that in a little bit as well. Plenty to talk about as we go along. But before we get to any of that, let's have a look at what we have in store for you today. Now, RTA don't just do one sprint race for an hour and a half, and that's all they have. There's a real intricate system we use here. We're going to have three races. Race 1 is 10 minutes with the grid set by qualifying, which is on at the moment. It's an open qualifying session, so that means everybody's on track. Everyone gets in each other's way. You got 15 minutes to make it count, and then you have your grid set for race 1. Then the result of race 1 determines the grid for race 2, 15 minutes, and then in race 3, the top 8 in race 2 get swapped. Then the rest from 9 all the way down to the end of the grid stay as they are. All three races are worth the same amount of points. So it doesn't matter whether you win race 1 or you win the kind of feature, if you like, race 3, which is the longer races. You win the exact same amount of points. So it's all, as Evan said earlier, it's all about consistency, and a good start can go a long way. If you get a good start in race 1, you finish well in race 1, sets you up well for race 2, and then you kind of already have the majority of your points in the bag before you head into the reverse grid final race. 15 X points for a drive-through penalty. Hopefully we won't see too many of these guys featuring that. Disqualification then at 20x, where you're a very, very bold boy. And of course, we also have a license system here at RTA, which can be used if drivers are really taking, as we say in Ireland, the knee haul. So, Evan, as we know, this format encourages lots and lots of racing, and that's what we saw in the Formula Ford 1600 season last time around. Only a second between the top 10 in practice yesterday, so expect to see plenty of wheel-to-wheel action.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of battling. We saw battling throughout last season in every race, sometimes even in qualifying to the I suppose, surprise of us. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of racing across these three races. Brands Hatch sort of sprung surprises last season in the RTA, or in the FF 1600 Ray Racing cars. RTA is the series, you'd think I'd know that by now. But yeah, I think we're going to have a great evening here of racing. Maybe not the best track for racing on the calendar. Obviously, Spa a little bit wider than Brands Hatch. Brands Hatch, only the 9 corners, only 3.9 kilometres or 2.4 miles, as the locals would say. But I think we are in for a good evening. Everyone is keen to make an impression. RTA is getting bigger than ever, and these guys want to be at the forefront of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you look at one of those guys involved that was just on screen there, Peter McCann, running the Red Bull livery. While you were talking there about Brands Hatch, as you say, a very historic circuit. Was the opening round of the Formula Ford 1600 series last time round. Race lap record on the GP circuit is an A1 GP. Let's not forget about that one. Every country went up against each other. The only time you'd ever see an Irish flag in a main Formula racing event. The pride that instilled in me. But anyway, speaking of Irish drivers racing fast Formula cars around British circuits, here's Jordan Kelly. He's going to take us through a lap here at the Brands Hatch GP circuit. So heading into Paddock Bend, and this is a very, very high over corner. You have to position your car right over the left-hand side of the track and spot your American marker. Then as you go down towards Druids, position your car over to the left, spot the braking marker, which is the orange Marshall block, down to first to get the front end to bite and turn in early. Back on the throttle then for Graham Hill, which is the left-hander, quick direction change, turns down to second gear and throw the car to aim for the midpoint apex. Down towards Surtees, this is an uphill and off-cambered left-hander, highly technical, a very good exit on the long straight is absolutely essential for this. You want to brake just after one board, as you go into that and get as good of a line as you can. Now the fastest corner in the circuit, Hawthorne Bend. High levels of precision here, should I say. Brake just before the one board and trail all the way into the inside. Curb shift out to fourth gear and then keep tight to the inside line as you head into Westfield, which is short to medium feed right-hander. This is to get away with as much corner cutting as you possibly can whilst carrying speed across the momentum. This is right across, cut across as much as you possibly can, and then across Sheen. Into Stirling's banked left-hand corner. Plenty of camber here for you to use as you go onto that runoff and head down towards the Clark curve. We saw last time this is where the Indy track finishes. A very short lap, but Clark curve, you want to brake gently down to third. Plenty of room in the exit, but it is very easy to get pushed out wide there. You want to stay in as tight as you can, as Jordan Kelly shows there, across the line for a lap here at the Brands Hatch GP circuit. And as ever, Jordan is so quick, he leaves even me in the dust because I can't keep up with what he's doing. But very, very, I suppose, a well-known track, a track that's used for lots of different racing series. Evan, the GT4 should be really fun around here. We see them in the British GT Championship around here, so it's a car track combo it's something that we see fairly regularly.
Yeah, the track here in Kent, of course, is one of few in the world that's hosted Formula One, IndyCar, and NASCAR. So that three being sort of a weird combination for a British track, which shows, I suppose, its pedigree in an international motorsport scale. GT4s around Brands Hatch, or sort of your GT3s, GT4s, your British touring cars, very well known here around Brands Hatch. It's a combination that everyone has driven on a sim at some point, and everyone's probably seen a race or two around here in their time. But qualifying can be important. It's not the easiest track to overtake at. These guys usually find a way to overtake, but it's not necessarily the easiest. So very important to get a good qualifying here. As we see, Alex Denning currently the quickest man, but only 0.004 separating himself and Jordan Kelly. So the two drivers with a bit of on-track British soil track experience in real life are showing the sim guys how to do it for the moment, but plenty of time in qualifying to go. I think that could change.
Yeah, 0.004 of a second. Just picture that, how close they are together, and it's very, very close. We go right down the grid. I mean, when you look, I suppose, Alex, you look at the gaps down. I mean, it's a second. It separates the top 14 cars here, which is absolutely crazy close. So expect to see very, very little margin for error as well when they race. And speaking of these GT4 cars, RTA decided to go for the Aston Martin Vantage. Good straight line speed, which means that we should see plenty of drafting available. Rides the curbs better than a lot of the other GT4 cars in the iRacing series as well, so that should come in handy, particularly in the second sector here at Brands Hatch, where you're riding the curbs an awful lot, and it has a lot of kind of natural rotation, front-engined GT4 based on the 2018 spec Aston Martin V8 Vantage, debuted in 2008, but plenty of revisions over the years. It's a naturally aspirated front-mounted V8 driving rear wheels, so as you say, good handling over the curves, nicely balanced, nicely weighted. It's not the lightest, but the weight allows it then to be kind of very, very planted as you go over the curbs, and giving us a great example right there on screen. So it's a car that I know is very, very popular, certainly in the Wildfire team that I race with. A lot of the guys love running that Aston Martin. As you say, it's just kind of predictable. So I mean, it's obviously for the front runners, they might want that little bit more of customizability, but when it comes to the guys who are running kind of middle and back of the pack, that wasn't timed so that we could see Lawrence Tassau as well, by the way. That was just a happy coincidence. That it gives them that little bit of stability.
Yeah, it's sort of a welcoming car to drive. Those maybe who'd be in the mid to backpack would enjoy this one. It's not the most overly difficult car to get used to, maybe compared to some of the other cars on iRacing. It's certainly not as difficult as a prototype, or maybe even one of the single seaters like we saw last season. A bit of a moment here maybe to talk about Lawrence Tassau's recent success. Not on an RTA track, but certainly on an iRacing track, recently hosting his own event, Potatona. bit of a play on words there with Potato Nation and, of course, Daytona International Speedway. He had some great success, raising over €23,000 for Irish racing drivers, and had a fabulous event, as Kevin said. The first event with the new Tempest weather system, and he even got some stars in the lineup. Had Tony Kanaan, famous IndyCar and Brazilian stock car racer, to join the lineup as well. So Lawrence is here on a high, and he's hoping for a good race here this evening.
Yeah, and it was funny because you go through your YouTube and you're kind of looking at sim racing content, and like I was just the amount of people who were like potato in a practice even in the week leading up to the event on Saturday. Like teams were really taking it seriously. There was an absolutely stacked grid in the prototypes. You had a load of real world Irish racing drivers who had teams in down the grids as well. Of course, Gantry TV, we provided the coverage. Thanks particularly to Ronan Hederman, who did an absolutely cracking job of covering the event. And I know that he was up very, very early in the morning on Saturday morning to make it down to my own city of Cork to join Lawrence, where they hosted the stream. But yeah, I mean, Lawrence is one of those guys that his ambition kind of knows no limits. And, where we come from a country very much, I would say, where people don't like other people having notions, but Lawrence just bulldozes straight through that and does exactly what he thinks is right. And I think he's right for it. And it's amazing total that was raised. Super event. It really helped Lawrence that the Tempest weather system had just come out, because it's a great opportunity for teams to get a bit of experience in running endurance racing whilst in the wet, which is fantastic. So a huge success all around, and massive congratulations to not just Lawrence but the entire Potato Nation who did it behind him. So good to see him back running. I thought he might take a couple of weeks off to recover, but fair play to Lawrence for sticking in it. He is currently in 16th position, so certainly not affecting him too much on track. Just want to give a quick shout out as well. Another change for this season you may have noticed, as I introduced, is that the season is now known as the TH Jordan GT4 Cup. TH Jordan, established way before we ever even, I mean, established even well before Brands Hatch, if you think about it, 1896. It's a client-focused design, print and finishing service. They do a whole load of printing things, from full color folders, reports, magazines, diverse range of clients right throughout the UK and Ireland, education industry, churches even. So if there's anybody, any priests, vicars that are watching that need some printing services, that's a very, very strange Venn diagram, but if it does exist, I'm glad I've called it out. And yeah, they do a lot of, they actually could keep using that Lido digital print, that Lido print technology, which is great, keeping it old school if you want that kind of old school finish, but also doing an awful lot of digital print magazines, glossy magazines, etc., etc. So TH Jordan, based in Belfast, but deliver right across the UK and Ireland for your printing solutions, and supporters of our GT4 series this season.
Yeah, great to have them on board. Always great to have new sponsors here on the championship, and a big shout out to TH Jordan, who'll be joining us for the GT4 Cup. There's less than a minute to go in the 15-minute qualifying session. It's still Alex Denning on top ahead of Jordan Kelly. Those two lap times have not changed across the duration of the session. They're both in the pit lane now, and Dave Maguire is actually on an outlap, pardon me, but he won't have time to finish that one. Both Dempseys pull into the pit lane, so it seems like the fastest of the times have come and gone. Jason Smith with one last gasp, he goes to 6th position. Jason Smith actually, funnily enough, last season took all but 2 pole positions in the Ray Racing machines. That was at Okayama and Donington Park, so he won't take pole position here at Brands Hatch like he did last season. It'll be a 6th place start. But as we know, he can come back in races with our reverse grid races. He's shown that in the past. But it is Alex Denning on pole position.
Yeah, that is an absolutely stacked top 6. Denning, Kelly, Maguire, both Dempsey brothers, and Jason Smith, a serial winner here in the RTA series. Like when you look at the likes of Dylan and Sean McClements, who were very competitive in last season, it's certainly qualifying within the top 5 regularly. Now for finishing 9th and 10th, we have a slightly smaller grid, if I think I'm right in saying, this season than we did last season. But my God, you've quality over quantity. I mean, Denny is going to lead us out. Obviously, GT4 European real life driver. It would be interesting to see if he uses that to his advantage in terms of being used to running on cold tires. But like he has a lot of quick boys behind him.
Yeah, he does. The pressure is on. There's a lot of quick drivers throughout the field as you see the results coming up on your screen. Dylan McClemens and Sean McClemens, as you said, were up there towards the top last season. So they might be a little bit disappointed with how that qualifying's gone, but it is the first qualifying of the season. Your nerves are up, and you got to just get settled and get ready for the race. But looking at your grid a little bit further down, you can see just behind the McClemens brothers, it is Conor Melia, and then 13th, Harry McGovern. 14th is Alexander Milchen. Probably butchered that. Apologies. 15th is Adam Dowling. Then it is Lawrence de Soswa. Then it is our only Canadian representative on the grid. That is Simran Takar. Then it is Wing Fei Chan, Dave Prunty, Brian McManus, Finlay Melvin, Jamal Gandor, Tony Stack, and Rob Parks rounding out the top 24. A very intriguing qualifying. Kevin, I think we're going to have a good race here.
Yeah, have a good race. Keep an eye out as well for Rob Parks's livery. That's something we'll be talking about a little bit later on as we get ready to go here for the first round of the RTA Series GT4 Cup. And we're gone. We're gone. Oh, it's a rolling start. Sorry, of course. What am I talking about? So used to the standing starts in the
Yeah, I
Formula
thought it was a
1600.
standing start as well, to be honest.
Totally forgot it was a rolling start. But we will be rolling. That maybe give us an opportunity to have a look at Rob Parks's self-designed livery. Hopefully Ronan can shine a bit of a light here on our series owner. He's cleared that up a little bit. It looks a bit tidier than the one that he had earlier on, although it does look a little bit like a seagull kind of hovered over it for too long. It does look a bit like Rob Parks had spent a little bit too much time at Brighton Beach before coming up to Kent. But is that a Milka livery next to him? Oh, okay, that's my favourite livery. I'm gonna say the Milka livery. That's Tony Stack. Yes. All I will say is, anytime anybody goes away on holidays and doesn't know what to get me, Big Bar Milka is always the right decision. I'm just going to leave it at that.
It was the Jordan livery last season, and now it's the Milka livery. Tony is, he has my respect now. There's a couple of interesting liveries across the grid as well that we'll be talking about throughout the evening. I believe there's a Potato Nation livery as well.
Yeah, look at the side of that. I love the fact that it's not the Michelin man, it's the
it's a play on words.
That's superb work from Alex.
Fantastic.
I saw that earlier on. Excellent stuff.
Oh, he has the graphics as his surname as well. That's very impressive. I like that. That's good. That's impressed me.
Let's hope he doesn't look like that himself. That would be worrying. It's a longer running lap as well. We have a full rolling start here, but it's quite a long rolling start, and we like a rolling start around Spa. I think, Evan, we're going to have to find a couple of things to talk about, because if we're doing full lap rolling starts all season long, we're going to have a good few minutes to get ourselves together before we actually go green.
Yeah, this is the podcast, or Spa will be a podcast if it's a full rolling lap. We'll come up with something. We have a few weeks to come up with something, but I believe the safety car will be pulling into the Brands Hatch pit lane now as we round through the Clark Curve to start the first race of this evening. It's new beginnings for the RTA Championship. It is the GT4 Cup, brought to you by TH Jordan. And now we go racing at Brands Hatch. It is Alex Denning who leads into the first corner. Jordan Kelly trying to get the run round the outside in the number 18. Dave Maguire looking to get the run up the inside in towards turn number 2 of Druids as well, but there's no move there for them. It is Robert Moore and Rory O'Shea side by side a little bit in the background. The two McClemens brothers looking to capitalise, as it seems like there is problems for Jamal Gandor near the back. He dropped a few places. Oh, bit of a wobble there for Jordan Kelly as he loses that spot to Dave Maguire, but overall a fairly clean start here, Kevin.
Yeah, very clean start between these guys. Have raced an awful lot together. Here's Pearden Dempsey. Oh, it's a little bit wide. He shoved Jordan wide and he's knocked him off. And thus the rivalry continues. I can only imagine what Jordan is saying underneath the helmet of that 18 car, because these guys do have history. Let's not forget, right throughout. Peter going down the inside there of Surtees, pushing Jordan out wide. We'll have to have a look again, but it looked like Jordan had really nowhere to go there, as Alex Denning now moves into a commanding lead in this opening heat.
Yeah, Denning already has a second lead. There was times last season where we didn't see over a second lead for the entire race, but Jordan Kelly's bad race one look continues. Here is your replay, brought to you by Gantry TV, of course. Let's have another look at this one. This is in towards Surtees left-hander. That's Jordan Kelly on the outside, of course, and that is Dempsey on the inside. He's just been shoved wide there onto the grass. I fear the stewards may have something to say about that one, as Kelly faces the wrong way and sees him lose a lot of positions. Jordan Kelly had no luck really in the first races last season as well. He did not win a single one of the race ones, despite having 4 wins across the season. So Jordan Kelly's bad luck continues as we are already onto the second lap of the race here.
Yeah, very disappointing for Jordan Kelly. Yeah, and again, actually having looked back at it, it looked like Peter Dempsey just kind of got a bit of a wobble in that. And as we look at Alex Denning here, this number 30 car, but he's just showing us exactly how to cut through things here. Brands Hatch, even though he went a little bit wide, but managed to avoid any major issues. It just, I think Peter just kind of caught a wobble halfway through the corner, and then that sent him wide and into Jordan Kelly. Very disappointing for him. But for Alex Denning now, as we say, a commanding position. Look at the gap there between Dave McGuire and Keith Dempsey. An absolutely enormous gap as these 3 guys really pull away from the rest of the field. Don't mind your timing tables. We're having a few technical issues here, but it is Alex Denning. He's down as P18 on the graphic, but he is P1 on track, I can assure you that, followed by David Maguire and then Keith Dempsey as we head into lap 3 of the opening heat here of the TH Jordan RTA GT4 Cup. Evan, as we said, it was a relatively clean start despite Jordan. So does Alex Denning goes wide and forces Dave McGuire to go wide, but he has to run now. He's going to overtake Denning going into Druids, and that's the job done by Dave McGuire. Big mistake there by Alex Denning. Very uncharacteristic by the young man.
Yes, Alex Denning running wide there through Paddock Hill Bend. Paddock Hill Bend, a really difficult corner. You can get yourself beached there a lot. And that's actually the second mistake we've seen from Alex Denning. We saw had a little bit of a slide heading out of Stirling's, and then we see him almost end up pitching himself down with an umbrella in the sand pit off the exit of turn number 1. He's lost the race lead, and you could see his frustrations almost instantly, flashing the front headlights at Dave McGuire. And he's going to be on a warpath to get back into that race lead. Here is Sean McClemens looking to attack Peter Dempsey, of course. We saw Peter involved in that early contact. These guys both looking to cut through the field a little bit. Great start from Robert Moore in the number 35, as well as Rory O'Shea. We saw Rory really come into his own towards the end of last season, was picking up some good results. He's up to 5th here so far in this opening heat.
Yeah, just some of the biggest movers and shakers. Aaron Dalton up 9 places to 26. Peter Duke up 8 places to 25th. You've Rich Murphy up 6 places to 29th. And then up the front, as you say, Rory O'Shea started in 8th, now up to 4th position. Alan Dowling and Lawrence de Soswa up 3, as is Winfei Chan. And Brian McManus up 4 places from 20th to 16th. Tony Stack and Rob Parks up 6 places, and Dave Collier behind them in 19th. He started in P26. So an awful lot of movers and shakers there. Some really, really good results for those guys a little bit further down the pack. But for Alex Denning, this is going to be a really, really frustrating for him as Dave McGuire now catches up with a back marker who quite cleverly stays out of the, just stay out of the way, stay out of the leader's way, as Alex is going to make a move down the inside and he forces off wide. Oh, that lap car carried on around the Indy track. I'm not sure what happened there, but I don't know that Dave got kind of fixated on the car in front, but left a huge door open for Alex Denning to shoot down the inside, and he goes back into the lead of this race.
Yeah, and here comes Dave McGuire again, trying to hang it around the outside. No joy there for Dave, but a great move that from Alex Denning. Was lucky he didn't follow suit and shoving a car off like we saw what happened to poor Jordan Kelly earlier. It was great skill there from Denning to keep it inside the lines. Just seems to get a much better run into that corner. I'm not really sure what happened to Dave McGuire. I think it could be spot on with he just got a little bit fixated on that lap car, which followed the Indy track for some reason. We'll try find more out about that later. But it is Denning, McGuire and Dempsey up the top. Another thing Alex Denning has to get used to is the quick nature of these races, because I don't think any GT4 race he has done It would be only 10 minutes long. It would certainly be a few more laps than that one. So he's got to get used to the quick-paced nature of heat number ones here. This is Lawrence de Soswa, who was attacking for 12th place. We're now looking at Keith Dempsey, who is trying to introduce himself into the race lead battle. He's trying to disrupt the pink car train we have going on at the front of the field.
Yeah, trying to rock it up a little green. Interesting, actually, that Lawrence is battling along with Alex Mielchin with his Potato Nation livery on him. So I always think that's really interesting when people run with content creators. I see like Dave Cam doing community leagues and Jimmy. It's like, what happened to your famous, like your favorite, like community racer or your, streamer, and then they
They get
absolutely
mad.
f you out of it? Like, does that, does that mean that you won't follow them anymore? I always wonder about those dynamics. Or do you kind of stay away from them because you just don't want to destroy their race? Anyway, Dylan McClement's going for a move down the inside here. That's following Peter Dempsey through as Peter McCann. No, that's not McCann, actually. Sorry. It's Sean McClements makes that mistake in the Gulf liveried Aston Martin, running out wide there. And he has work to do. But to be fair to David Maguire, he's keeping Alex Denning honest there at the top as we go back to this battle between Peter Duke trying to get himself in amongst it there. Peter's doing a superb job. Started down the grid, maybe not the greatest qualifying, but certainly race pace. Doing a superb job there in the number 77 machine as we go back to the front with Alex Denning leading again. In this corner, this is where he went off last time. Very wide again, dipping his rear left tyre into that sand trap. Really taking a very aggressive line as we tick very closely to the end of this opening heat.
Yeah, you can see Denning just struggling a little bit maybe through that first corner. You say about the content creators racing with their fans. I know a Gran Turismo content creator, not going to name names, who actually blocks you from his streams if you take him out in a race. Lawrence de Soswa is not that type of person. Just thought we should clear that up. Lawrence, as we were picking him up early in qualifying, as nice as they come, and I'm sure he loves racing his fans. As we see Lawrence there still battling, trying to get up in towards the top 10, having a stronger race than qualifying maybe so far for him. But we're coming near the last couple of laps of this race, Kevin. I wouldn't say it's decided just yet because Denning still looks a little bit vulnerable at the front of this race.
Absolutely, and Maguire all over him. And I suspect if Jordan Kelly hadn't had that early run in with Peter Dempsey, he could very much be in with the shout as well. Dempsey currently sitting 7th, but whether that will last with the steward's inquiry, we shall see. But Denning has Maguire all over his back bumper, and this is a really intriguing battle between those two. We saw the likes of Kelly, Doherty, Jason Smith, Chris Knox all involved as we cross the line for the final time at Brands Hatch GP, sorry, we crossed the line for the penultimate time, should I say, at the Brands Hatch GP circuit. We see some new faces here, and they're already providing some of the same racing that we saw last time around we were commentating.
Yes, it has continued, and the good action we were hoping for and the close fields is once again providing as we are on the last lap of the race, or heat number 1 I should say. 2 more heats to come, of course, here in Brands Hatch. It seems like David Maguire very quick in the first sector, but was not able to get past Denning for the time being. So if Denning can just park his car in the middle of the road here, he might be home and dry. But Maguire getting one last slipstream down this back straight in towards the right-hander, of course, at the Hawthorne bend and onto the Derrick Minter straight. Seems like Denning just strong enough through these corners. Of course, we saw a little bit of a mistake from him in this sector in the opening couple of laps of the race, but he seems strong enough here, Kevin, to take this win home.
Yeah, well deserved, I think, as well. After making the mistake, to make that really, really impressive move through Surtees. And as you say, Evan, this certainly the second part of this track really isn't that great for overtaking. It's very hard to find a place to overtake here as they head. Where am I? Down past Sterling's and towards Clearways and the Clark Curve for the final time as Alex Denning rounds the curve and takes the opening race here. The lights flash, this time in excitement. Last time it was in frustration, and wins the opening heat here at the TW Jordan, TH Jordan Ray RTA GT4 Cup. I get the words out eventually, but our new boy Alex Denning with the first win of the season.
Yes, Alex Denning showing his quality in these GT4 cars, and he manages to take the first win of this season. But it wasn't easy, and I don't think Heat 2 or Heat 3 will be easy either. We see the rest of the drivers crossing the start-finish line to take home their first results of the season. Rory O'Shea, very strong 4th place for him in the High Prix Sim Race City car, as it's called on our timing screens. Jason Smith coming home in 5th place. Robert Moore in 6th. In 7th place was Peter Dempsey after that early incident. Dylan McClements in 8th, McCann in 9th, and then Sean McClements in 10th. A lot of the usual suspects still in the top 10, but maybe in a slightly different order than we're used to from last season.
Yeah, and usual suspects doing well as well. Aaron Dalton up 10 places to 22nd. Diarmuid Toomey up 9 places to 18th, and Tony Stack up 7 places to 16th. Those were kind of the biggest movers in that one. Finlay Melvin, unfortunately, was involved. Jordan Kelly ultimately was the one who really lost out. He started in 2nd, finished in 24th position. But hopefully, even though it's unlikely we'll see Jordan in this heat, hopefully he'll battle his way back within the top 10, and we might see him up the front of the grid to make amends for the final race. Well, I mean make amends, not for his own personal driving, but certainly for the result. So that is the result, as Evan called out. It's Denning, Maguire, Dempsey, O'Shea, Smith, Moore, Peter Dempsey, Dylan McClements, Peter McCann, Sean McClements, then Melia, Dowling, DeSoswa, Mielchin, Wingfei Chan, Tony Stack, Brian McManus, Diarmuid Toomey, Rob Parks, Jamal Gondor, David Prunty, Aaron Dalton, Peter Duke, Jordan Kelly, Simran Takar, Harry McGovern, Mark Ivory, Philip Upson, Enda Farrell, Dave Collier, Gary Corcoran, Simon Hutchins, Colin O'Regan, Richie Murphy, and 34th, Finlay Melvin, who retired a few laps ago. But no rest for the wicked. If you haven't watched us before, you will know there's a very quick turnaround between Heat 1 and Heat 2, which is just about to get underway here at the Brands Hatch Circuit. Also, a quick shout out as well to the Sim Consultants for their ongoing support here of us at Gantry TV and indeed RTA Motorsports. So back in the comfortable hands of Evan for the second heat of tonight's first round.
I believe it's a roll start again, Kevin. So,
oh, yeah. Forgot about that. We'll get used to that at some point.
Yeah.
It's
maybe
like
round 4 we might get used to.
Yeah, it's like it's it's Spa when I'm going to go off on a bit of a tangent here, but you're going to allow me this because we're going to wait for all these cars to come back around.
We've plenty of time.
But the amount of commentators I've seen on sim racing broadcasts who they go past the finish line at Spa, and it's why are they driving so slowly? What's going on? And then they're like, oh yeah, back straight. Forgot about that. It's like it takes a while to get used to it if things change. So, I mean, it makes sense. It would be weird to have a standing start for a GT4 cup, but it just takes a while to get my head around. So my apologies to Peter McCann and Rob Parks in the series. Look at that as well. Just looking at it, Alex Denning and Dave Maguire, they're kind of all over each other to begin with. I wonder, is there mind games, kind of Max Verstappen-esque mind games as we go through this formation lap? Because Maguire was all over the back of Alex Denning and both of them weaving back and forward. So Maguire's certainly letting him know that he's there.
This is very early mind games. It looked like Alex Denning was playing mind games with the safety car at one point. I think that might be a little bit pointless. But look at this from David Maguire, already trying to get in the head of Alex Denning and trying to impose himself as maybe a contender in this championship. It's very intriguing to see, especially considering it's literally the first week and the second heat, and he's already considering maybe who his rivals are, who he's got to pitch these battles to. But speaking of standing starts and rolling starts, at least we have got the settings right, or at least the settings have worked. I remember watching a NASCAR race on iRacing with a standing start around Talladega. Really,
amazing.
It was fantastic.
Oh, that needs to be done for the next RTA fun race. I think they did trucks around Daytona cross country. Was it last time? Maybe this time with a standing start. Maybe just throw that. Oh, look at that! A little bit of a kiss. A little kiss between Alex Denning and Dave Maguire. They are interesting bedfellows. As we had a little bump in the back of Dave Maguire as well from Keith Dempsey, or from Denning from Keith Dempsey. They're all giving each other. And Dempsey's and Alex Denning's like, right, forget the 2V. I'm gone. As is Keith Dempsey, and Dave Maguire's left in the dust.
Yes, the Oscars may have been on Monday, but I think this race might win Best Drama because this is fantastic. Look at this from Dempsey and Maguire already. Oh, it's a big wobble for Keith Dempsey, who's gone off through Paddock Hill Bend despite getting an absolute cracker of a start. He's gone off into the sand like we saw happen to Alex Denning the last time round. And Alex Denning and David Maguire really going at it before the race has even started. This could be a very, very fun 15-minute heat here as they enter almost in towards the second sector. It is Denning, Maguire, Jason Smith and Rory O'Shea, and then it is Peter Dempsey working his way up to 5th position. No dramatics to turn number 4 this time for him.
Yeah, that was a very tasty start to the race. Interesting to see what will be said on the driver's chat as that goes on. But as it is, Alex Denning getting away best and Dave Maguire. To be fair to Keith Dempsey, superb work to save that tank slapper because that car was wobbling like mad going down through Paddock Hill Bend. But a mistake from Maguire now allows Jason Smith. This is on Maguire. Contact here between himself and Rory O'Shea. Maguire's off. He's rejoined the track, but with damage. Oh, this has really turned everything on its head. Now we have Jason Smith, last year's champion, hunting down at the young Alex Denning. Oh, get your popcorn. This would be interesting. Let's have a look at the replay, though, Evan.
Yeah, I think to quote a Wrexham fan, this is going to get tasty, baby, because David Maguire, let's see what happens to him here, loses all. Or does he lose it himself? He does. He goes on the grass, and then I think he does get dived down the inside here, and that is what causes the spin. Yeah, it was very slow off that corner. Now too wide. This is heading up towards the Sheen curve, and you can see, yeah, 2 into 1 doesn't go there. And David Maguire, again, catches it really well. We're seeing an impressive showing of driver skill here this evening. If not maybe the cleanest of racing. But David Maguire currently now in 9th position, looking to battle with Keith Dempsey. So that could also get very interesting. It seems like there's action all over the field.
Yeah, here's Jordan Kelly trying to come back here, but he's been blocked by 2 cars in front, namely Brian McManus and Wing-Fei Chan, who are battling each other down, and Jordan just slipping in behind the little bit of contact there between himself and Wing-Fei Chan. A little bit of a hook, but Jordan Kelly holding on to it as he keeps Brian McManus nice and keen down the backside of the course. Somebody's going to clip that and take out the course, I know, but that's fine. I can guarantee you that there's no way that David Maguire would be able to do what he did in the new Tempest weather system. Having run it, grass is now ice. So, yeah, definitely stay off that if you're anywhere near the Sebring 12 hours in the next couple of weeks. As we look at Sean McClements, he's running very slowly there. McClements, seeing like David Maguire got away from him very quickly. And now Keith Dempsey's going down the inside. I wonder, is there an issue here for Sean McClements? Because he is losing a bit of time as Dave Maguire now is trying to get back in amongst this fight. But after that instant, he is quite a gaggle of Aston Martin Vantage GT4s ahead of him, so it's not going to be easy as Sean tries a move down the inside of Keith Dempsey. Dempsey swipes across the front of him. Very lucky not to get taken out there by McClements, who went for a move down the inside. As it stands, both of them stay where they are. As we head towards the 4-minute mark, it's been really, really exciting stuff already. But once again, Alex Denning with a comfortable gap ahead of Jason Smith very, very early on in this race.
Yeah, the only thing for Alex Denning here is, as we see Jason Smith run a bit wide, he had a comfortable gap in the first race as well, and still went off the track and lost it, so has to keep his concentration, has to keep focused if he wants to bring this one home. Rory O'Shea fighting for a podium placing here with Peter Dempsey. Peter looking to maybe move up to 3rd position in the next couple of corners. A little bit down the field there, Aaron Dalton gaining a couple of positions, and then we look up a little bit even further. It seems like Connor Melia, Adam Downing and Lawrence de Soswa are in a little bit of a gaggle of cars, and then Jordan Kelly is just behind them, or well, he's 1.7 seconds behind, but I think with Jordan Kelly's pace, he might be on the back of them fairly soon. Fastest lap of the race for Denning, though, seems like he has ironed out those issues from the first race, and he is lapping pretty quickly.
Yeah, very, very quickly. So he is on the hunt, as is Lawrence de Soswa. You can see Adam Dowling in front of him going down Paddock Hill Bend. Lawrence will have a little bit of PTSD, I think it's fair to say, from the Formula Ford 1600 series, where he was involved in a massive incident going down Paddock Hill Bend. You can have a look for that. Very, very funny reel. If you want to look back on that, I still have the sound clip in a soundboard somewhere to reference back to if needed. But Brian McManus here has Wing Fei Chan all over the back of him. As we saw, Jordan Kelly was involved in that battle earlier on. And Wing Fei Chan, just as I say, goes too early into Surtees, clips the inside curve just a little bit too slow, over-rotated the car, clipped the inside of the curve, and that is his heat 2 over. Back looking at this battle between Keith Dempsey and Sean McClements that's been developing for a while. McClements lost out there a while ago, and as Jason Smith made a mistake here, because it looks like he's tumbling down the order. Yes, he has. Big mistake there. Who's that in the background? Is that Rory O'Shea? It's Rory O'Shea. Rory O'Shea, our third place. Did he go for a move at one point? Hopefully we'll be able to get a replay of that in the next couple of minutes, because Rory was looking very, very strong, and all of a sudden facing the wrong way in the grass. Let's see. Somebody goes wide. That is Jason Smith going wide and then clips the front of him. I really think that's on Jason Smith. I don't know what you think, Evan, but I really don't think Rory O'Shea had anywhere to go there.
I think Jason Smith has to thank whatever car tapped him back round facing the right way, because we could see Rory O'Shea was kind of stuck there, couldn't illegally rejoin the circuit in front of anyone. And yeah, I think maybe 70-30 on Jason Smith. The stewards might have a different opinion. They'll review all the incidents after the race. Of course, I know some incidents from the first heat seem to have already been put in the incidents channel, so it'll be interesting to keep an eye on that after the race. This is Keith Dempsey battling with Sean McClements here. You can see McClements running the Gulf Oil scheme, likes a good classic looking race car, does Sean McClements, and he's running the Gulf Oil one for this season. Here is his brother Dylan McClements down the inside of Keith Dempsey. Dempsey runs wide onto the grass and the gravel, and it just seems like these drivers maybe are struggling a little bit with the bigger car compared to last season when making some of these overtakes, as we see another car run wide there. That was I believe that was Alexander, who's gone off and is now down to 11th position.
Yeah, and to be fair to them, like, personally, I find this part of Brands Hatch very, very, very tricky. I mean, Brands Hatch is a tricky circuit anyway, at the best of times, but that whole back section is you have to be so committed to carry the speed, and like, it's one of those tracks that if you lose aero halfway through your corner, it's not like you can just kind of pull off. Oh, is there somebody coming out of the pits that's waiting? That's a lapped car. But it's one of those corners where that tracks where like you can't just kind of stick your foot in the brake and get back in line, because if you do that, somebody's going to hit you from the rear. So it's kind of like a single line, but super committed, really narrow, lots of grass, very tight. Really demands supreme accuracy from these drivers, and it is genuinely very, very difficult. As Dave McGuire now following Peter Dempsey. Rob Moore, by the way, having a great race, is Rob Moore. He's up 2 places, and the man in second at the moment, Peter Dempsey, he started this race in 7th, so he has profited from a lot of the carnage here to find himself right back in the championship running. As Dave McGuire now turns him round. Oh, that is not good stuff from Dave McGuire at all in the 10 car. He had no right to stick his car in there. That is not good stuff from McGuire at all. The stewards will look dimly on that, and that is the end of Peter Dempsey's race. If I was Dempsey, I would be absolutely fuming there. That is really poor stuff from Dave McGuire, I have to say.
Yeah, look, we like to remain impartial, but I think we have to call a spade there. That's a bad move from David McGuire. You can't do that on a racing circuit. He'll be getting a stern talking to from the stewards who'll look to iron out moves like that. But important for David McGuire here, he probably knows himself he's gone wrong there, needs to just keep pushing on, try get whatever he can out of this second heat. And he's gone for a move into second place, past Rob Moore, and he is now back up to second place where he started this race and where he finished in the first one. Jason Smith as well working back into this one. Another man who could be impending investigation. The race results of this second heat may very much change later on this evening, or when the standings are calculated, as that is now Smith into third, Rob Moore into fourth, Peter McCann is now in 5th position. But yeah, Heat 2 has really provided us with some drama this evening.
Yeah, really, really busy race, an awful lot for the stewards to do. I suppose you do expect that from an opening round. People are still getting used to the car, but a lot of really very aggressive driving, and I really don't think that that's something that the stewards are going to look very kindly on. We know from last season there was a lot of that going on very early doors, very aggressive racing, kind of bulldozing people out of the way almost. And the stewards really laid down the law there with some very, very hefty sanctions. So, look, I imagine that the stewards will do the exact same thing here. That they're going to have to clamp down on this, because some of the moves tonight, and as you say, Evan, like we do remain impartial, but as you say, you have to call it as it is. And some of the moves tonight have been really like low IQ stuff. And it's not just a case of racing getting it wrong. I would say that when I look back at the Peter Dempsey Jordan Kelly incident earlier on, it did look like Peter went for a move down the inside and the car just washed out and he got kind of squirrely, and unfortunately there was contact that will ultimately be on Peter, because it's his job to make sure that if he gets a move done, he gets it done cleanly. But at the same time, nothing like that earlier move down the inside from Dave Maguire. Like I just can't see how he thinks that he's going to, like, I don't know what he expects Peter Dempsey to do there, like as opposed to just disappear maybe. Like, you really have to, and we talk about this in terms of consistency, we come back to what we said very early on in the championship. Consistency is not just being consistently fast, but it's finishing every race, it's gaining points every time, it's staying out of the stewards room, it's making sure that you keep your head down and you get as good a result as you possibly can without getting yourself in trouble. Some guys interpret that as being on the edge as much as you can, but ultimately that only lasts a certain amount of time and you do get caught out. So it's about trying to avoid as much incident as you possibly can, whilst also battling. I'm surprised, actually, given we're in round one, how aggressive some of the driving is, but maybe that's guys trying to lay down the law. Maybe there's a bit of machoism, strong arming going on. I don't know. As Rob Moore tries to move down the outside here on Jason Smith, the 35 battling 34, and one is indeed the difference between them, as Jason defends down the inside and Rob catches a bit of grass and slides a little bit, and Jason managing to legitimately close the door and defend his position there. Rob Moore having to wait for another time as we tick down towards the end of this race. This more than likely will be the penultimate lap, I suspect, Evan.
Yeah, it is, and you make a great point there, Kevin, in terms of the incidents. It is the opening round of the season, of course. I think we can expect a little bit of chaos, a little bit of carnage, but there is a line, and I think we all have full faith in the stewards that they will draw that line after this evening's action. But great little battle clear for third. Jason Smith and Rob Moore showing what can be provided by these cars and this track combination, potentially, as Rob Moore just looking to continue on his strong form from this evening and take maybe a podium placing. There is a little bit of a train developing, as that is actually Connor Melia going for the move side by side through here. Oh no, that's not going to work. That's another Dempsey involved in an incident. That's Keith Dempsey, who I think has gone spinning round there. You can just see in the backpack Jordan Kelly promoted to 9th, as is Milshawn up to 10th position, and then Keith Dempsey up to, or down to 11th, I should say. That was just a bit of 2 and 1 doesn't go again. Battle further up the front, though. This is Sean McClements and Peter McCann. Rob Moore is now up to 3rd position, as Jason Smith in the pit lane, actually. So problems for Smith.
Yeah, I wonder, is it a disconnect potentially? Ronan saying there he is a man who knows all about technicalities and technical setup of iRacing. I'm going to leave you off your Milshawn, Evan. I know that you're doing your Leaving Cert Irish, so I'll leave you off Milshawn. It is
in 14 days, Kevin, so that's my excuse.
Milshawn means sweets, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I won't be saying that, so I don't really have an excuse, but leave me off, please.
If anybody asks your pastimes, you can always say it's Mala Milshawn. But no, again, Jordan Kelly down the inside of Peter Dempsey or Keith Dempsey. Like, well, I have to look back on the incident, but Jordan came from a long way back there, and I really can't see where Keith was supposed to go. And I'm surprised, actually, from Jordan's point of view, because he was motoring rather well up the pack without causing too many incidents, and then just decided to kind of launch himself into the side of Keith Dempsey. This could be the incident, the replay of that incident. Here is Dempsey with Jason Smith down the inside, and Dempsey goes around. There's a touch between them that sends him out wide. That's an earlier incident, I believe. And here is Keith trying to carry on. Am I right in saying that here's Jordan Kelly in the background? So I believe this was a little bit before that incident, because you can see Jordan in the background trying to make his way up. So we'll just see how that progresses. But we might come back to it at the end of the race. But that just kind of gives you a flavor of where Keith has kind of been in this race. There's a lot of rubbing and racing, and unfortunately, I really think he came out on the wrong side of that Jordan Kelly incident, and it'll be interesting to see again what stewards have to say as we look at a man who has largely stayed out of incidents. He got a few zero X's, I would say, before the green flag even flew, Evan. But he's doing a superb race since it's flown, and looks like he's going to be a double winner to kick us off this season.
We'll stick with the Irish trend. Tá Alex Den and Tamani Gatapa. He's driving a fantastic race here this evening. That probably makes no sense, by the way, so please don't fact check it.
Yeah.
Jason Smith battling side by side with Peter Dempsey here in towards the right-hander of Hawthorne Bend as we... Oh, I thought they were going to go too wide there for a second. I was going to say that could be another incident, but no, the car behind was just a little bit further back. This will be the last lap of the race, I believe, and it's going to be a comfortable win here for Alex Denning.
Yeah, I think it's Tá Alex Denning ag Timont Gatapa, but August Tá Alex Denning Iverhin Aaron Ross Shaw. But yeah, no, superb work from Alex Denning. He takes a second win here in the TH Jordan RTA GT4 Cup around here at Brands Hatch. Dave Maguire finishing provisional second, but that also depends on the stewards' decisions. Then we have Rob Moore, who could very well be promoted into second place. He finishes third, followed by Sean McClements, Peter McCann, Dylan McClements, Conor Melia, and then Jordan Kelly. A lot we talked about, Evan, this opening race about we saw a lot of familiar faces and familiar names in the top 10, but not necessarily running up the front. And lo and behold, the vast majority of those familiar names ended up finishing way higher up than they began. So perhaps experience is beginning to tell.
Yeah, we saw a comfortable drive from Alex Denning up the top. We saw Sean McClements finishing fourth, Peter McCann in fifth. Very experienced drivers, of course, in this championship. Sean McClements has been here for a couple of years now. Dylan McClements as well, although young, I've always said he is mature beyond his age. He is a steady head on young shoulders, and he's finishing high up as well. And those who managed to keep it clean got the good results in that one. And yeah, bit of the more chaotic side of RTA in that last heat, but still a good race nonetheless. I think that is a wounded car. That's Keith Dempsey coming back to the checkered flag. That's not a fun one for the mechanics. That's a late evening.
No, not a great one for either of the Dempsey brothers. Very, very frustrating, I think, for both of them, and both of them can feel aggrieved about how this second heat has panned out. Do remember, if you're enjoying the stream, if you're enjoying the commentary, some of the insights that myself and Evan are providing, you can subscribe to us on YouTube. Just click the subscribe button that's there in front of you. It's Gantry TV on YouTube. That means that will allow you to comment on our streams. And thanks, Flea McBaggins, for commenting. He says, this is going to be epic. And I think it's fair to say he's not that far off. It has been a very, very good start to the season, albeit chaotic, Evan.
Yeah, you can also subscribe, of course, for Kevin Galvin's free Guelga grinds that I'm receiving here on the stream this evening. This is class. I'm studying and working at the same time. But here is your full race results. Alex Denning is at the top, of course, and then in second position it was David Maguire, despite the chaos. Robert Moore then in third, with Sean McClements in fourth, Peter McCann in fifth, Dylan McClements in sixth, and Conor Melia, Jordan Kelly, Adam Dowling, and Peter Dempsey rounding out the top 10. Then it was Jason Smith, Brian McManus, Tony Stack. Then it is Alexander, whose surname I cannot pronounce just yet. Then it is Lawrence de Soswa in 15th, Enda Farrell 16th, and Dermot Toomey in 17th, I should say, with Dave Collier just behind him. I think it has been pretty epic so far, Kevin. I have to agree. And our longer race is usually a very intriguing one, so I look forward to that in a couple of moments' time.
Yeah, that reverse grid is absolutely superb. So we're looking forward to that one for sure. We were hoping to speak to some of the drivers, but maybe they're too busy bickering over what has happened in the last race. So let's catch up with Rob Parks, our great and our overlord and great leader. Rob Parks, am I right to say kind of like what I call you? Oh, great one. What do I need to call you to get a better bonus from you at the end of the season,
I
Rob?
think it's Supreme Leader of RTA or something like that.
Supreme leader. That sounds suitably communist. Okay, let's
I
go
heard
with that.
Ronan is the one that distributes your bonus, though, not me.
Okay, well, I better make sure that I cozy up to him. What do you make of the first two races? You're obviously in it, so you're kind of seeing it from a driver's perspective. What we saw from our perspective was an awful lot of carnage early doors. So, what have you made of the first two races here? Alex Denning out on top of both.
Yeah, I think the races they've had some good moments and some not so good moments in the first two. There's been some silly incidents that shouldn't be taking place, I think, and but there's also been some fantastic racing through the grid. It's always similar when you start out a new championship in a new car. You've got a mix of guys who've done 1,000 laps of practice and a mix of guys who've done no practice before tonight. So sometimes it just ends up that way. It's unfortunate, but I think the racing overall has been pretty good.
Yeah, I would agree, but I would also agree with you in that like GT4 cars are obviously they're even very different to GT3 cars, which a lot of these guys would drive on the iRacing service, and of course, Brands Hatch being one of those tracks that you kind of have to commit to every corner. It does make it very difficult, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does for sure. Brands is it's a tight track in these cars because they're so big and wide. And it definitely, the fact we're in saloon cars definitely adds to the carnage a little bit. There's a lot of guys out there who think as soon as we get into saloon cars that there's no contact rules and you can bang doors with people as much as you want, which always ends in tears. But it's one of those things. I think every season, more or less, the first round or two are always a little bit scrappy, especially around a track like Brands Hatch, as you said, that's so tight and a track that requires so much commitment to make a move. But I think it'll definitely improve as the season goes on, and as we start to get towards more the bigger tracks, the big international circuits.
Yeah. Now we were laughing earlier on in the stream, and I know you've the obvious meme about last week and the fact that it seems to be the only league. I mean, if Lawrence DeSaz was Potatona's iRacing's first ever special event with rain, I think ours was the first ever league to be postponed due to rain. But it does mean that we have time for new entrants and also a new sponsor on board. So it's been a productive week for you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been quite a busy week for everyone in the RTA admin team, to be honest. We've had a lot going on this week. We've brought a new sponsor on board, TH Jordan, which we're delighted. They're sponsoring the series. So they're very welcome on board, and it's great to have some support from a company that's outside of sim racing who came to us and approached us, and we were delighted with that. We've also got a lot more entries in the last week. Initially, the entries were low by our standards. They were a little bit under what we'd like to see. Still not too bad, but yeah, a little bit under what we'd like to see. But in the last week, the guys with the social media team have been really plugging away and kind of got the word out there about the championship, and we've gone maybe 15, 16 more entries in the space of a week. So from when round one was meant to start to now, which is great.
Brilliant. Look, I'll leave it at that, Rob. We're ready to go for Heat 3. The reverse grid always brings us brilliant action. But look, again, great to see it, I suppose, this week being so productive for you. And let's hope that the GT4s become a little bit more, what would I say, comfortable for our drivers as we go on the rest of the season.
I have no doubt they will. Thanks, lads.
So thanks a million to our supreme leader and oh great one, Rob Parks, as we head into the final heat of tonight. As we say, all heats are equal. All heats are created equal. So same amount of points regardless, but we do have a reversed top grid, which means that Alex Denning will be starting in 8th, but I will leave Evan talk us through the grid. And indeed, the rolling start that we're going to have, because we'll have a bit of time to talk, because I've actually remembered that. I was about to call it as if it was a standing start for the third time tonight, believe it or not, until I was reminded that actually there's a rolling start again.
Yeah, folks, we have a rolling start here for Heat 3. Rolling start. But One thing you did get spot on, Kevin, you said we might be able to see Jordan Kelly at the top of the reverse grid. Well, he's literally at the top of the reverse grid. It's pole for Jordan Kelly for heat number 3. Then it's Conor Melia alongside him with Dylan McClements. Peter McCann in 4th with Sean McClements in 5th. And then it is Robert Moore in 6th position, and then down to 7th position. We do have Dave McGuire, and then it is Alex Denning in 8th. Very, very intrigued here to see how Alex Denning copes with these reverse grids, Kevin, because he has been starting at the front of the other 2 heats. I think this could be a little bit of a new challenge for him because, of course, in real-world motorsport, in GT4s, reverse grids may not be common, especially maybe around Brands Hatch. So I think it's going to be a challenge, and I think everyone is going to be intrigued to see how he takes it.
Yeah, but in real racing, I suspect, and this is absolutely no disrespect to Alex, but I suspect in the upcoming GT4 European Series, he mightn't necessarily be starting and taking off at the beginning of every single race he'll be in. So for Alex, this is, as you say, an excellent opportunity to get a bit of practice in this GT4 car in terms of navigating traffic and picking your moments. And of course, very, very heavy cars, very wide cars. Cars that don't have as much aero as the GT3s, so great opportunity. This, for myself, is also a great opportunity to look at Jordan Kelly's livery, which he's running at the moment. Now, I perhaps may offend some people when I say this, and I can hear Ronan Hederman in the background cringing about the prospect of Gantry TV being cancelled on YouTube forever. But though the liveries, any livery with anime characters always is a big red flag for me. I'm just gonna say, like, anytime I race with anybody that has anime on the side of the car, I always keep a wide berth. I don't know, is Jordan doing that on purpose because he knows that's what people feel, but I have absolutely no idea what's going on with that 18 livery and why it features some sort of anime pinup girl on the side of it. I probably won't say anymore, or I'll get myself cancelled forever.
How you go from a love of garlic breads to anime pin-up girls, as Kevin has called it, is beyond me.
He's a
But
vampire. It's the only way to explain it. Jordan Kelly is actually a vampire, and he is shot off the lead.
no.
Oh, massive contact in the background. That's Jason Smith and Peter Dempsey. Am I right in saying? Yes, Jason Smith and Peter Dempsey colliding straight away. Oh, my God.
That is a big collision before we even went racing here at Brands Hatch. It's all kicking off in the backpack. McGuire and Alex Denning both diving up the inside of a couple of cars here. Sean McClements losing 2 spaces, heading in towards the second corner of Druids and then down towards turn number 3, the Graham Hill bend. He's looking to avenge his losses, and round goes McClements as well in this one. That's another car gone round. We're hoping for maybe a little bit of a calming down in the chaos. It's only gotten worse. That is 3 big players already down the field.
Yeah, Ronan's going to have quite a job here to get the replays up in time for us, but I'd love to go back and look at that Keith Dempsey incident, or sorry, that Peter Dempsey incident, if we can at some point in the next couple of laps, because we're all still fighting mad here. Conor Melia holding off the challenge here of Dylan McClements behind him. Then we have Dave McGuire behind him and Peter McCann holding off Alex Denning. No Earn Tiles this time to back Peter McCann. They dropped him controversially as a sponsor following recent comments in the Discord, but he is running a livery nonetheless. Here is the early incident between Smith and Dempsey, and a little bit of neck code, I'm going to say, but I'm also going to say that there is no excuse to fishtail somebody when you're on a race start when you're supposed to be too wide.
Yeah, that is going to receive a bit of a talking to from the stewards. That's not really race start protocol. A little bit of netcode involved, certainly, as pretty much all incidents in iRacing, mind you. But yeah, that's not good. You don't want to be crashing before the race has even started, as we see Alex Denning diving up the inside of Peter McCann, who is now down to a 6th position here on the grid. And Denning still cutting through the field nicely here. Bit of a hectic race start for him. Got a few positions on the opening lap, but he's looking to settle down now and attack Conor Melia in front of him. This is Peter Duke looking to get past Lawrence de Soswa in the battle for 13th position. And we see Jeremy Toomey and Hutchings in the background. That is going to be Hutchings ahead of Toomey for the time being.
Yeah, just for the moment. Plenty of really intriguing battles as we look at Alex Denning. He's 4th position, just after overtaking Conor Melia there, as having already taken Peter McCann in the last lap. He now goes for Melia. On his sights next is Dave Maguire now. How that progresses. Maguire behind Dylan McClements and keeping all over the back of him. So expect to see Alex Denning having a shot at that. But Jordan Kelly way out in the lead now. 1 point. Oh no, he's had an incident, has he? Jordan Kelly. I was going to say he was way out in the lead there by 1 point something seconds, or maybe it's just a different line he took, because I saw his lead tumble down as we see Dave Maguire now go down the inside of Dylan McClements, and McClements is going to have to do something spectacular to hold on to second position here as we go through the Paddock Hill bend. They go side by side. Oh, that's great stuff from Dylan McClements to try and hold it around the outside, but I don't think it'll be enough as Dave Maguire goes through Druids. Dylan's still holding on, but a little bit of a mistake now invites Alex Denning into the fold, and great stuff there from Dylan McClements holding it around the outside of Paddock Hill bend, but unfortunately for the number 6 car, I feel it may not be enough, as Alex Denning going for his favoured move down the inside of Surtees, making sure that one sticks, and now he has Dave Maguire in his sights for second place. So all happening here at the front, as we suspect those who start in 8th position usually aren't that far off the front by the time it comes to the end of the 3rd heat, as this lovely little battle now developing between Diarmuid Toomey, Brian McManus and Peter Duke as we go down the second part of it. Peter McCann in the Red Bull livery, that's another livery that screams red flag to me, I'm going to be honest, followed by Rob Moore in the lovely Castrol, the kind of what would I say, retro livery. I always think of like the old Toyota World Rally car from circa 2000, 2001 whenever I see Castrol on a car. But yeah, it's been a hectic one, Evan, again, but it seems to be kind of, let's say, calming down a little bit as we head into the 5th lap here, or the 4th lap, should I say, the Brands Hatch GP circuit.
That first sector that we saw between the front runners is exactly what we want in these cars. That was great racing. It was a great move from Denning, but in front of that, it was great battling between McClements and Maguire to keep it too wide through Paddock Hill bend. It seems like there's maybe an issue for Alex Denning. He's lost a couple of spaces and he's really squarely out of the second corner. He's now fallen behind Robert Moore, so there has been a bit of a problem for Alex Denning, and he has dropped down, and you can see, yeah, really running wide there, Kevin.
I wonder, Evan, was it Paddock Hill bend again? Because that's been an issue for him recently, and I wonder, just when we looked at him, he was kind of coming out of going towards the start-finish straight, and then after we came back to him, there seemed to be an issue. So was it Paddock Hill bend for Alex Denning, where he had that instant coming in there, going down the hill, going wide, and once again, yeah, my suspicions were proven correct. Really struggling with that corner is Alex Denning.
It's a difficult corner. It really is a difficult corner, and there's no kind of real indication of when to turn in exactly, because it is such a downhill drop. But yeah, that one still recovered well from Denning, but a costly mistake nonetheless, and he is now down to 7th position and looking to try and get back past Peter McCann. This is Tony Stack we are looking at as we see a bit of a move in front here. This is Alex Denning getting past Peter McCann back towards that turn that has so badly haunted him here this evening at the Brands Hatch GP circuit. So McCann in the Red Bull car is down to 7th place, Denning back up to 6th, and gets Paddock Hill a little bit better this time around.
Yeah, a little bit better this time from the 30 car. Do remember, you can subscribe to us on YouTube, that is Gantry TV on YouTube if you want to chat with us. And Chris McCann coming in the comments, he says, I have an issue with this now from Chris McCann, right? So Chris McCann comes in the comments saying, poor Kevin must have a million red flags, right? And then follows it up with a comment that says, I don't like skins with colours on them. So like broad sweeping generalisation, I hate everything, essentially is what Chris McCann
Of course
said.
he's a million red flags. He supports Cork. Sorry, that's a horrid pun. It's dreadful, but yeah, it's a bit of a grumpy Kevin Galvin here this evening, it seems, in terms of deliveries. But speaking of a livery he does like, this is the Milk of Chocolate livery, which is unfortunately losing a place here because Rory O'Shea has dived down the inside. Good move there from Rory O'Shea, job done. He's now up to 10th place in this one. A solid evening so far for O'Shea. I do hope he can continue it on here with some strong pace, because seems he prefers the GT4s maybe than last season's single-seaters.
Yeah, certainly, and performing a move on a car that's a good solid chocolate bar. Can't go wrong with a bit of Milka. Here's Conor Melia now, or at least the back bumper of Conor Melia, with the very very good sight of Rob Moore. Great start, great finish in the second heat for Rob. It's been a good night for him thus far, and making sure that he keeps himself in the picture and in the conversation for anything that might potentially go wrong further up the front. Colin O'Regan now having a good old battle with David Prunty. These two are veterans of the RTA season, particularly David Prunty is a name that we see very often. As Peter Duke is kind of doing what his namesake says, or doing what his name says through the opening part of lap number 8, but unfortunately losing out in that particular duel. Here is Alex Milchen, the 54 car, and the superbly liveried car. I think that does win probably best livery, doesn't it, for creativity, being overtaken by Rory O'Shea, who was really running very strong in the second heat before crashing out. So he'll have a point to prove in. Is that kind of like a mock Alpha Tauri, or am I just not seeing the livery correctly? I think maybe no, it's a man with a pair of headphones. Interesting. But yeah, 8 minutes on the clock. We're not even halfway into the race. Seen plenty of incidents thus far, and we're looking at Alex Denning now all over the back of Rob Moore and Conor Melia. So expect to see fireworks again as we head down into the final corner. A flash of the lights down the inside, and that's how to do it in a GT4 car. State your intentions, follow through with them, gain a place. Alex Denning into 5th.
Yeah, Alex Denning into 5th place now. Flashing the lights once again, a bit of a trademark maybe for Alex Den. Kevin might have a problem with Chris McCann, however, I have to thank him because he has taught me how to say Alexander Middlechen. So not Middleshawn, as he was told earlier, but this is Alex Denning back up to 5th place now, has Conor Melia in a martini sort of livery in front of him, who he has to get past, and then he is back up towards Dylan McClements. But Jordan Kelly, we saw this a lot in the FF 1600 cars as Denning once again dives down the inside in towards Surtees. That's a move he loves. But Jordan Kelly, like we saw in race 3 last season a lot, is running away with this one at the front. It seems once he gets to the front, he can win from there.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at his qualifying, I mean, he was pretty much top of qualifying for quite a long time, and only, as we remember, 4th thousandths of a second behind Alex Denning. So there's absolutely no doubt in Kelly's raw pace. But again, I suppose very unlucky in the opening race with the incident with Peter Dempsey. But the second race, that move on Keith in the second race really wasn't on. So he'll have a bit of a point to prove from the first race, but also I think has a bit of, I think he'll know himself, has a bit of making up to do for his own running in the second race. So managed to get back up to 8th position, which put him in a perfect position for the third race. So yeah, Jordan really doing what Alex did in the last 2 races, leading from the front and firing off into distance. Simon Hutchings, he was very competitive in the Formula Ford 1600 series last time around in the shout for that B championship, keeping Enda Farrell honest as we head down into Paddock Hill for the 8th time for these guys, or the 9th time for these guys, should I say. And we're over halfway now, so we're almost to the end of the evening. We'll probably sum up our thoughts after today's race, but really, it really seems like we already have an idea, Evan, of who our front runners are going to be for the season.
Yeah, we do, and I think we know who is in the best contention to win this race. David Maguire is catching Jordan Kelly a little bit, but it seems like it's going to be Denning, Maguire, Kelly, and then maybe some of the more usual suspects from last season, the McClements brothers. Rory O'Shea, maybe a bit of an outside shout. He's driven well, as has Conor Melia, but we do expect Jason Smith to be back up there towards the top next week. He's just been riddled with bad luck this evening, unfortunately, as this is the Dylan McClements train. You would fear for Dylan with Alex Denning right behind him if in the terms of him losing this place and dropping off the podium, because Alex Denning is coming up towards Sector 1, and despite this being the sector where he's made the most mistakes, it's probably the sector where he's also made the most overtakes. And here he goes to the outside in towards Paddock Hill Bend, tries to dummy up the inside as here comes Alex Denning, gets slid round, and that is Dylan McClements drifting off into the sand, saves it very well, a very good save from Dylan McClements, but Denning kind of went for a gap that was closing there, and the two of them made contact.
Yeah, that is an interesting one because Denning was very clear in his interests and his expectations. He did send it down the inside, and from that point on, he's entitled to the space. And like from here, pretty much, he's entitled to the inside
It's close.
corner. And Dylan did close the door on him slightly. Great work, by the way. I was going to say Peter McCann arriving on the scene of the accident there. Superb collision avoidance there from Peter McCann to avoid Dylan coming back out on track. Great work from Dylan as well to hold it around the outside. He'll feel aggrieved, Dylan, but he did leave the door slightly open for Alex Denning. And in my view, looking at it, it seems to be a bit more like a racing incident. It seemed like Alex did have his car side by side with Dylan, and from that point on, the onus is on both cars to leave enough space. So that is an interesting one. Here's some attacker now down the inside, one of the Potato Nation cars. He was over at the Sim Expo in Dortmund last year, where I got to meet him in person. Lovely, lovely guy. And battling with our supreme leader Rob Parks. It looks like the Canadian. Oh, it looked like the Canadian's going to have the inside line, but our supreme leader doing a superb job. And in Kim Jong Un style, we will be reporting at the end of the race that he has won all 3 races, despite what you've seen on your screen. So yeah, you can expect 90 points for Rob Parks in every single race for the rest of the season, as he actually does quite well there. He's going to go for a move on Peter Duke. We do have league leader and sponsor going at it side by side.
Yeah, this is gonna look great for those who are in charge of the league, seeing Rob Parks and Peter duke it out in towards turn number 1, as it is Parks ahead for the time being, and yes, he'll stay ahead in towards Paddock Hill Bend, as we now see Peter Duke and one of the Potato Nation cars in the background. Another one of Lawrence de Soswa's community cars, of course, as this is the Canadian in the 22 going up the inside in towards Druids, but Duke managing to hold it out pretty well. And now in towards the left-hander. It does seem like Duke has the better line through here. He does. Will stay ahead. This is now... that is a back marker being told there who they will have to get around, and Peter Duke gets around him nicely.
Yeah, it does. Lawrence is unfortunately relegated to roll a back marker, but certainly getting stuck into that battle. I was going to say Rob Parks pulled off that move like an Alaskan Airlines door, and I feel like that's a reference that Rob will really appreciate given his profession. But as we look at Enda Farrell now, going through the final part of the back end of the stretch and back down towards the main section as we head through Clearways. And Farrell in P12 at the moment, and doing a good job as is Simon Hutchins. This is a nice battle that's been developing for quite a while. And these two guys, obviously, as we say, RTA veterans, and you can kind of tell the people who spend a lot of time on track together, because they're usually the ones that know where to give and take, and a bit of nip and tuck between them. And we still do have quite a bit of time left. So Simon going for a move down the inside here of Druids Bend as they go 2 wide around, and that is a pretty picture to see 2 Aston Martins go side by side around such an iconic corner, as 2 other cars going side by side. That's Dylan McClemens and Rory O'Shea as we head into lap 11 here, and plenty of close battling, Evan, right up and down the grid.
Yes, as Kevin mentioning, those who do spend a lot of time on track know there will not be a joke about a certain Norwegian in place here, as Dylan McClemens does stay ahead of Rory O'Shea for the time being. This is a good little battle between these two developing in the latter stages of the race. We are just crossing over the 16-minute mark, I believe. It looks all wrapped up for Jordan Kelly up the top, as it seems like it's going to be another race 3 masterclass from him, but anything can happen, and he may make a mistake, but has been so consistent that you'd like to think, Kevin, he's going to be home and dry here.
Yeah, Jordan defying my expectations by running an anime livery and not clearing out half the grid. So he does deserve kudos there. Dave Maguire in behind him in the BWT livery, really probably too far behind to mount any real challenge unless Jordan makes a mistake. The clock is ticking down every single lap. We're back on board now with Simon Hutchings in the 32 car, all over the back of Enda Farrell, and once again we see the 37 car, should I say, and once again we see these guys battling it out. This is superb back and forth contest between these 2 RTA long time drivers. really good to see. Unfortunately for Simon, he just can't do enough to get past Enda Farrell, who's sticking his, I suppose, officially liveried Aston Martin GT4 car. I think that's the am I right? It's not the WEC livery, but it is an official. It might be the British GT livery that they run. But it's great work from Enda Farrell to stay ahead of Hutchings as we head down now towards the Hawthorne Bend. Back looking at Rob Moore, he's behind Alex Denning, and both of them have slipped by Sean Clements we saw earlier on. Sorry, Dylan McClements, should I say, in that incident on the Paddock Hill Bend. Rob Moore, once again, a superb race for himself, and once again, Evan, talking about consistency. And Rob might necessarily have been the quickest guy on this grid, but consistently staying out of trouble. He's sticking on the back of Alex Denning, and he's leaving Alex do the work.
Yeah, he's doing a great job here, considering Alex did take the pole, won race 1 and race 2, and Rob Moore is keeping up with him here, and he's not drifting away, well keeping up with Alex, and if he plays his cards right, might be able to sneak ahead of him if an avenue opens up. But yeah, very consistent drive this from Rob Moore. He'll be picking up good points in the championship, and he'll put himself up there heading into next week, and that's what you got to do in a championship like this. We've seen, or we saw last season, I should say, incidents across the board for the championship leaders. You could just keep yourself consistent, keep yourself up there from week to week. You've got a great shot, and I think Rob Moore knows that. Very steady drive from him this evening.
Yeah, absolutely. As Rory O'Shea is somebody who probably should have had a better result in the last one. He's all over the back of Dylan McClements. Now, Dylan has to be careful here that he doesn't overdrive the GT4s, because they do. The track temp isn't overly high here. It's a fair track temp. It's 26 degrees. We've 19 in the air in Kent, which is a little bit higher than you'd suspect for this time of year, but climate change. And Dylan has to be careful that he doesn't overheat the tires here, trying to battle. Now, time is ticking away. We are onto the 14th lap, and which will more than likely be, it is actually, in fact, the penultimate lap, because we only have about 30 seconds left. As you can see, the flagman, whose name I've forgotten. I know iRacing named him something, but I can't remember what it is. Flagman Gary, raved the white flag. But as he does that, Rob Moore seizes the opportunity. A little bit of a mistake from Alex Denning. Cuts down the inside, does a Denning on the man himself down the inside of Paddock Hill Bend and gets the job done. But you'll have to be careful here, because this is the corner that Alex Denning loves to overtake on. So Rob can't keep that door open, Evan.
No, he can't, and he's got to be careful. And you can see Denning already looking for this one down the inside, but he's not going to find it this time around, as we have now crossed the 20-minute mark. So this will be the final lap of the evening. Denning's got to get creative then if he wants to go for this one in towards the final sector. Rob Moore needs to just keep it in the middle of the circuit here, defend nicely, get good exits out of the corners, and he might be able to take home a podium here in heat number 3, heading through Westfield Bend and down through Dingledale, where of course there used to be a chicane. It's now just a curve up to the right hand side here through the Sheen curve, and then there's just Sterling's and the Clark curve to go, and it's looking like Rob Moore might be able to take this one home unless Denning gets a monster of an exit here out of this final corner. He has got a good exit, might look down to the inside, is forced to the outside. Here is Alex Denning, and for the final corner now, Jordan Kelly takes home the win, but Alex Denning's got the run here on Rob Moore towards the start-finish line. Is he able to snatch the podium off Rob Moore to the line? No, he cannot. Rob Moore sees home a steady drive with an excellent podium, but it was 0.08 at the line between Denning and Moore. Wow, that's a really close conclusion after 20 minutes of driving.
Yeah, and to be fair to Jordan, massive kudos to him starting up the front and winning by a margin. Dave Maguire, superb drive from him as well, although he'll be frustrated he couldn't keep up with Jordan, but to finish in second place. But I actually think the best drive of the three of them is actually Rob Moore's, to stick behind Alex the entire time, to follow him through all that traffic, and then to pounce right on the last lap before Alex had a chance to go back at him and hold off the current European GT4 driver. That's absolutely superb work from Rob Moore on Alex Denning. But it is Denning's evening, really, to be fair. 2 victories and a top 4 finish for him. But for Jordan Kelly, a bit of redemption as we see Diarmuid Toomey and Richie Murphy crossing the line. And Rich will finish in 23rd place here across the line. So that's good work there from Richard Murphy in the 24 car. And Poro, Lawrence to Soswa, relegated to a back marker, which is not something we've seen very often. He finishes behind Diarmid in 25th place in the end. So once again, a real chaotic 3 races, really. But we do have our provisional results for the final heat, Evan.
Yeah, it is Jordan Kelly who takes the win ahead of David Maguire. Then it is Rob Moore in third, Alex Denning in fourth, narrowly with Conor Melia in fifth, Peter McCann then in sixth with Dylan McClements in seventh. Rory O'Shea then up 12 positions in that last race to take 8th position ahead of Adam Downing in ninth, who I don't think we spoke much about, but ninth is definitely a solid effort. Then it is Alexander Miljan in 10th ahead of Tony Stack in 11th. Simon Hutchings in 12th with Enda Farrell in 13th. Then it is Sean McClements ahead of Brian McManus. And it is Dave Collier, David Prunty, Simran Takar. Then it is our supreme leader, Rob Parks, who I think I saw Chris McCann saying we need to change his name in the timing screens or on the graphics. Then it is Peter Duke in 20th, Colin O'Regan in 21st. Then it was Wing Fei Chan, Rich Murphy, Dermot Toomey, Lawrence de Soswa, Peter Dempsey, and then the non-finishers, which there was quite a few of them in that last race. It was a bit of a race of attrition, which we usually don't see in the RTA Championship, but a lot of talking points ahead of next week, Kevin.
Yeah, plenty of talking points and plenty of people to talk them through. And the first man we have joined with us is our winner from race 3, Jordan Kelly. Having looked at it, having chatted to him quite a bit in the last season, Jordan once again joined us in the commentary box. First of all, not going to ask you about the race at all. The livery, Jordan. What is going on there?
No, I don't know. I wanted to make it a talking point. Trading pins is a good help there, all right.
Jordan just looked at was it anime? Is that what you do
Yeah,
to find it?
yeah, I think it was just a wee side note, yeah.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
looks good though.
Well,
Kevin
whatever you say.
severely disagree. Severely disagree.
It's as I said on stream, for me, it's a big red flag. I'm just gonna say it's a big red flag. I was wondering was it your imaginary girlfriend at one point, but we'll go along that at a different point. Race win in race 3, I suppose kind of makes up for the first 2 races. Early incident with Peter Dempsey. I look. I don't know if you got a chance to look back on it. It looked a bit more of a racing incident, having looked back on it, than it did first time around. Then you got involved with the other brother in race 2. So
I was nearly wiped out there too, but
I
yeah, it was alright.
I don't. There won't be many Christmas cards between the Kelly and the Dempsey household. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, there's always a rivalry there, all right. That's for sure. No, but it was good to come back in the second race and get the reverse grid, and then have the pace to keep away from David, because David had some serious pace there to keep up there. So it was good just to manage the gap and not let him get into the toe range and stuff.
Yeah,
that was good.
Yeah, because I mean, look, Quali, you were only what 4,000th of a second behind Alex, who, and it does look like, I mean, it was a bit messy the races, but I mean, you'd hope that would be sorting itself out. I mean, it's really competitive, this first top 10.
Yeah, I was actually on a lap on my last corner. I was a 10th up, and I just threw it off into the gravel. I seem to like clearways gravel for some reason, so I'll try and stay out of it anymore. But it kind of messed up my race, because I think if I started on pole, it would have been a different story for first race. So just try and next time try and get pole or very close to, or even inside would be good too. But
you're kind of getting used to the GT4s, but they are
yeah.
tricky. Like we were talking to Rob, they're just in the interval, and like they're to come from the Formula Fords over to this. It's very different style of driving, isn't it?
Yeah, these cars just love getting driven out of instead of like carrying a lot of speed in. So it's a different driving style for sure. But I seem to adapt all right to be fair, because I've like apart. I don't think I've drove GT4 in, I don't know, 3 years maybe. So it's definitely a fun car to drive though, and there will be good racing if people can keep it clean from now on. Hopefully the incidents can clear up a lot now and see who's actually the culprit from tonight, because there was seemed to be a lot of mess around the mid pack there. So fingers crossed we'll get it
Yeah,
sorted out.
absolutely. Well, there's going to be a lot for the stewards to look over. That's not of your concern, and we're
No,
Jordan. We'll see how things shake out. But congratulations on
sure.
the final race. I'm sure that'll give you a huge amount of confidence now going towards Hockenheim.
Yeah, that was great. Thanks, Kevin.
Brilliant. Jordan Kelly, there are a winner in the final race. A kind of a quiet interview room this evening, Evan. I hope that isn't a
Yeah,
sign for the rest of for the rest of the series.
yeah. Hopefully not, as it seems like there must be a bit of a pay-per-view boxing match or something happening in the driver's call after the chaos. But no, it was great to hear from Jordan again. Always nice to hear from Jordan and get his insights to the abomination to or the disgrace to motorsport he's driving this season. But no, good to hear from him as well. And Kevin, it is the difficult part of our evening. I believe we have to pick a driver of the day.
Yeah, just thinking about that, and there is kind of an outstanding candidate. Just talking about the driver's briefing, obviously we broadcast here on Discord and have a kind of a race currently going over some of my mouse over to see what he was streaming. And I see 4 cars all spinning out and
Oh no!
rubber going everywhere. So I can only imagine what kind of call that is. Peter is the man who lays
Type of
down the
call you'd
law.
love to be a fly on the wall for.
Oh, absolutely. Turn off the camera, turn yourself on mute, sit back and enjoy. Um, for me, I'm gonna have to say, I mean, it's an obvious choice, but I think it's kind of hard to overlook him given his performance this evening. I'm going to say Alex Denning is my driver of the day. 2 wins, finished top of the quality standings, and a very strong standing in turn 3. But I would like to give an honourable mention to Rob Moore, who was really superb all evening. And that last battle with Alex in the final race proves that he is going to be an extremely contender going forward in this season.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, honestly, Kevin. I was going to say a shout out to Rob Moore as well, but I think Alex Denning does take your driver of the day. Pole and 2 wins in the first round. It is the exact same formula that Jason Smith took last season, the exact same results, but a huge shout out to Alex Denning on that one. Another little small shout out as well, I think, to Rory O'Shea and Connor Melia. They both had good races as well. Maybe not a driver of the day standard, but certainly positives to look forward to. David McGuire, good evening as well. Despite the incidents, he took 3 podiums, I believe. So a shout out to him. But yeah, Alex Denning, driver of the day for me as well.
All right, well, excellent stuff. Well, I suppose with that driver briefing continued, that makes our work very easy this evening because we can sign off here and we will leave the stewards do their thing. Expect some sort of bonus podcast for the next time. Perhaps we'll just record the driver's briefing and play that for the 3 minutes for the formation lap. That would be a great way to get us going. But yeah, a really chaotic start to this TH Jordan RTA GT4 Cup in association with the Sim Consultants. From Brands Hatch Indy, we move on next week, as I said, to Hockenheim, 9 o'clock on a Tuesday evening. Given what we've seen tonight, I suspect it will be a seriously tasty affair because there will be scores to settle and old rivalries have already reared their head. So you don't need a scriptwriter to get you involved in that one. Do remember to subscribe to us here on Gantry TV and head over to the RTA Motorsports on Facebook. You'll find their link in the Discord there. If you want to get involved in some of this racing, they're a superb community, and I know that they have a load from everything from open wheel to just a bit of crack to the endurance side of things as well, and the special events. Again, just to sign off with as well, massive congratulations to Lawrence de Soswa on his Potatona event. Great to see an Irish person really leading the light in that. And a huge congratulations to Ronan Hedeman for his involvement, and indeed a great thanks for him tonight. Thanks to you as well, Evan, for Evan Dalton, for your companionship this evening, and for your terrible Irish. Now go away and do some study, please, ahead of the Irish Oral. And we'll speak to you next week, 9 o'clock on a Tuesday. Agus Ascuelga Slán go fóill.